Hey everyone, Joanna Rogister, Soul Alchemist here, and sorry about that. It's life is very interesting. We create these worlds, and we get caught up in those worlds. And the funny part is that those worlds are not our truth. It's not. It's what we allow ourselves to get caught up in. And the last couple of days for me have been all about that, getting caught up in stuff and not coming back to my truth. And that's when I start to feel emotions. That's when I start to get irritated and aggravated and everything like that. And this is what happens, that I get a little bit late because I'm not paying attention, blah, blah, blah. So I'm Joanna Rogister, Soul Alchemist, and this is Real Talk Soul Alchemy on Speak Up and Empower. Speak Up and Empower is an online community of heart-centered people that are searching for more in their lives. And Soul Alchemy is the art of transformation. It used to be transforming silver into gold, but now I help you transfer from where you are now into what being in alignment with what your soul wants, in alignment with your soul purpose. And that's what I wanted to talk to you today was, how do you figure out what your soul purpose is? And it's never just one sole purpose. I think that's a big thing. We often have many purposes, some bigger, some smaller. Sometimes our purpose is just to live and to find peace and happiness. And that's more than enough. It's never just. That is enough. But I think our main purpose in life is to remember that we are gods and that we are created in God's image, so God could experience more, you can't know what here is if you don't know what there is. You can't understand what joy is like if you don't understand that the opposite of joy is pain or darkness or trauma or whatever the opposite of joy looks like to you, because it's different for all of us. And so our whole purpose in life, everything that we experience, is a feedback loop for us to be able to take a look at and go, oh, that's interesting. What is it about that I've noticed? Yesterday I was being very challenged by technology. My computer wasn't working. My laptop wasn't working. My iPad wasn't working. My phone wasn't working. I could use the basics, but some websites I could get onto, some I couldn't. I couldn't use my Zoom, but yet I could use StreamYard. All these things, all these pieces of the puzzle, and it was very, very frustrating. And I'm sure any of you out there that's had a problem with technologies and you just want to pick it up and throw it across the room, you know what I'm talking about, because we've all been there. And it drives me crazy. Hi, Tony. Thanks for joining us. But it's part of life. But I found myself yesterday being really bugged by it. I responded the way I haven't responded, the way I haven't been so frustrated in years and years. And to me, it was, while I was getting frustrated and angry, and threw my iPad across the room and called to my son, who is in data management and IT security, to come fix it for me. I was also sitting back observing myself going, well, isn't this interesting? Why am I responding like this? What is it about this situation that is driving me crazy? And I was being triggered. I was being triggered back to earlier times in my life when I couldn't deal with things. And what I've come to realize, and even as I'm thinking about it now, is that I was going back to when, I didn't think I was enough, a part of me, and that's what happens when we're triggered, is that we go back to a situation in our earlier life where something happened and we're left with the same emotions. And we go back to that same point and we deal with it the same way we did at that time, whether it was 2 or 3 or 4, but something happened when I was 2 or 3 or 4, and it made me feel like I was stupid. And this is what technology can make me feel, because I can't figure it out. I shut off the computer, I shut everything down, I delete stuff and reload it, and I still can't figure it out. And it took me back to that place of feeling stupid. And so, to me, that was very interesting to watch that, still respond, but to see that that's what's happened. And I think that's kind of a beautiful loop that we can all be in, to be able to understand what's really happening here. And then ideally, I do not go back there next time and allow myself to become so frustrated and so pissed off and aggravated and wasting so much energy. And this is the journey of our life, to figure out what our soul purpose is. And we can figure out what our soul purposes are when we get in touch with where we are now. What is our story? What do we see? How do we see ourselves? How do we talk about ourselves? How do we, view ourselves? And I talk about this, talking about self-love and everything like that, but it all comes back to this, because who you are now is not who your soul wants you to be. Your soul wants you to be more, to have more joy, to experience bliss all the time, to feel peace, to feel good health, to feel abundance in all levels, health, wealth, and love in your life. And that's your soul purpose. And and that's your soul purpose, to feel that joy, that love, that bliss. Because when you do, that's when you know that you truly are God, because that's when you're falling into what your soul purpose is and coming to understand yourself, and to become aware of what is preventing you from achieving that soul purpose. So first of all, it's coming to understand you, coming to see yourself for who you are, and then being able to release those pieces of yourself. So I used to get very frustrated and really angry, not just about computers, but about lots of things in life. About, if the kids did something, I would get really upset. Or if my husband said something or did something, I would get quite upset. But I would never express that. I would push it down because I didn't want them to not love me, or I didn't want them to be angry at me. I didn't have the self-confidence to say, no, this pisses me off. In part because I didn't understand what was really pissing me off, right? So often what's happening right in front of us has got nothing to do with what we're experiencing emotionally inside, but it's triggered us to go back to that time and to, go into that inner child and respond the way that inner child learned to respond, or only knew how to respond. And this is not a place to be judging. Like when I looked at myself yesterday, I thought, I don't like what I'm doing. But when I was going through that process of examining or observing, being curious about what I was doing, it wasn't in judgment. It was just being curious, right? Like, why are you responding like that? It's not really how I want to interact with people. I don't want to be this upset or this mad, or, to want to throw things. So why am I doing that? Where is that coming from? And understanding, in that moment, I didn't figure out that it was taking me back to that inner child. But I knew that I would explore it later on, as soon as things settled down and I got things figured out with my computer and was able to do the Zoom that I wanted to do, et cetera, and connect with the clients that I wanted to connect with. So it is exploring who you are, and what story do you tell yourself? What limitations do you place on yourself? Because those limitations are preventing you from getting in alignment. Anytime stuff comes up in your life that prevents you on an ongoing basis from achieving what you think you should be doing, it is an opportunity for you to take a look at what you thought your goal was. And is it something that's really purposeful for you? Is it something that you should be doing? Just for example, if you are thinking about going to the mall, and you drop something on the way out the door, or when you get a phone call just as you're headed out the door, or you forget something and have to go back, and then you almost get in a car accident. All these things should add up in your mind. Woulda, shoulda, coulda, might add up in your mind for you to go, oh, maybe I'm not supposed to be going to the mall today, or maybe there's a better use of my time, or I can order it online, et cetera, et cetera. So when there's a lot of obstacles thrown in your way, it's always an opportunity for you to look at those obstacles and understand why they're being presented to you. Is that a teaching for you? Because the universe keeps teaching us until we learn our lesson, until we come to understand what's being presented to us, and until we understand more about who we are. So the more you can be that observer in your life and recognize teachings, obstacles that are being thrown at you, the quicker you can understand what the lesson is to be learned and how to move through it so that you can get more on track with alignment with what your soul wants. When your life is filled with joy and happiness, and you enjoy getting up in the morning and going to work or going into your home office or being comfortable with not working and not feeling guilty about it, knowing that you've done everything that you could, the world shut down the way it is in a lot of ways, then that's when you're in alignment with what your soul purpose is. Right now, I know for me that so much of this last year has been about learning and understanding more about myself, doing the meditations, guided or sitting or walking meditations. I'm working on my Merkaba now and understanding how it works. So your Merkaba is energy that can help you to connect with other dimensions and higher realms and your higher self. And it is a really beautiful tool, but it's been a lot of, taken a lot of time for me to connect with it every day and make sure that it's spinning and that it's activated and that the energy is working. I've been diving deeper into understanding who I am and knowing, and this is kind of the beauty of it, knowing that as I heal myself, then I can help my clients to heal themselves better. I have more wisdom to share, more knowledge to share, more connections with other realms and hierarchies, the angelic hierarchies, and be able to have more tools, tap into my intuition on a deeper level, to have more tools to share with my clients so that they can understand themselves better and start to figure out what alignment means to them, what their soul purpose is. So the more you tap into you and the more you uncover your story, release the blocks, the more you can come into alignment with what your soul is. And the more you can come to trust that the universe does have your back and that what's happening is for your best and greatest good. We can try and manifest almost anything, but if it's not for our own best and greatest good, then it's not going to happen. Often we will, not often, but there are certainly times where I'm trying to manifest things and it just doesn't happen. And then it's like, well, why not? It's like, well, is that really what you need? Or was that my ego requesting that? Was that my human self thinking that that's what I needed? Obviously it wasn't, because it didn't happen. So it is, it is really understanding and more who you are and understanding that ego. Ego has played a huge role in all of our lives, and some people more so than other people. But in that ego has been essential. It's kept us safe. It's kept us aware. The ego keeps us, that's its purpose, is to keep us safe. But sometimes, and often, especially as we're growing older and becoming more aware, that ego limits us. Because by keeping us safe, it prevents us from moving forward. It preventing us from stepping outside of our little box that we live in on a day-to-day basis. Not only living in, but the mindset that we have, the way that we look at the world. And if we're stuck in this box, as so many people are right now, I have so many clients and friends that say, I just feel stuck right now. It's so important to be able to explore, what is your box? What keeps you stuck? What is limiting you? One of those things is figuring out what does make you happy, because a lot of people just don't know what makes them happy, don't understand or haven't figured out what they feel passionate about, what they love in their lives. And this is really a challenge. I know it's been a challenge for me, but there's also a point that what makes you happy today might not make you happy tomorrow. When I was married, and raising kids and everything, I thought I was happy. I was satisfied with life. I was relatively content, but I didn't have the inclination or the time to look around and see what more could be. I used to buy books on finding more in my life, books that, talked about finding happiness. And I'd read 2 to 3 chapters, maybe more, and then put them in that bottom drawer of my bedside table because they just didn't resonate with me. It wasn't, whether or not what was going on in their life didn't work for me, but I wasn't also ready to start searching for more, start searching to find what alignment was of what I wanted, of who I was and what I needed. And, after the disease and the death and the divorce, all this time that I've spent since then has been uncovering who I am and understanding who I am and what I'm capable of, and releasing those blocks that I had, that I wasn't enough, that I, didn't have the right to speak up, that if I did speak up, I wouldn't be loved, that they, my partner or people I knew would be mad at me, and not only from this lifetime, that fear of speaking up. And it's why I've had so many throat issues over the years, right? Because speaking up is all part of your throat chakra. And, so when you block that and it's not functioning at a higher level, then you will develop throat issues, whether it's your thyroid or, sore throats or all kinds of other things that are associated with that. But it's that, accession, that's not the right word, my growth, my developing awareness, all of these pieces have shown me that it's not only in this lifetime and with my partner, with my parents, siblings, but into past lifetimes. And I obviously didn't learn my lessons in the past lifetimes, and I've carried it forward. But I also know in past lifetimes, and you can go back into past lifetimes by doing past lifetime aggression analysis, where you guided, and I do this with some of my clients, I guide them to go back and look at past lifetimes to see what happened there. And also Akashic records are another great tool. And Akashic records are your past, your present, and your potential future lifelines, storylines that are contained, and you carry them around with you from lifetime to lifetime in your auric, your energy field, and they can be opened. And when you open them, which I can, you can come to understand yourself better and see why, why am I like this? Where could this take me in the future if I change this? So there's just so much there that's possible for us to look at and understand. And then it helps us to come to a greater place of joy and happiness in my life. And when I started to be able to speak my voice more, to know that I deserved to be heard, to know that I had things to say and that it was worthy of people hearing them, and this is still an ongoing progression, is that, I haven't had throat problems. I haven't had the issues that I had in the past. It's no longer the weak point, and I don't like that weak point, but often there is a organ or system or place in our body that when we are low in energy, that area is affected first. And that always was my throat. And so now, I know the signs of things are going on, but I also know, like, if I'm starting to feel something tickle in my throat, that, well, what's going on? What am I not doing? What do I need to release or move forward or let go of? So it's all of these pieces that help us understand alignment. So, there's another prime example. As I came more into alignment, gained self-confidence and increased my self-esteem, and knew that I deserved to be heard and knew that I deserved the right to speak without being in fear that someone wouldn't love me, then, and this is not about them, this is just about me. This is how I felt, right? From my background and my story. And so when I was able to release that and step into a knowing that I deserved, that I deserved to be heard, that I got healthier. I didn't have the throat issues that I had in the past. And so, it's all these pieces come together to provide us with this best life possible. So coming to recognize who you are, what your blocks are, will help you fall into alignment so that you can recognize, what does your soul want? Self-love will help you recognize what your soul purposes are. You may have one, like my soul purpose in this lifetime is acts of service to others, is to be a healer, to help other people heal mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. But I also have the purpose of being a mother, being a friend, being a teacher, being a guide, being a connector to different realms. So we do have many purposes, but the more we can get into alignment with them and start to accept them, recognize them, allow them into our lives, the more that we can achieve, those moments of bliss, those moments of joy, those moments of alignment with what your soul wants for you. So, what does your soul want for you? Do you know? Hopefully today you've gotten some tips, some tools, some idea, or just a nudge to start thinking about more. Start to if you haven't started to meditate already, then perhaps it's time to start meditating and set your intent to meditate. Stare into a candle. Can you see the candle? Can't see the candle. Stare into a candle, stare at a flower, listen to music, do a guided meditation, do a walking meditation, mindful meditation, whatever works for you, and set your intent to see yourself more, to understand yourself more, to think about what makes you happy. And then daydream about what makes you happy without, letting go of all the who, what, where, why, whens, but just, if going for a walk makes you happy, then daydream about the joy it would be of running through a beautiful field filled with flowers, or running through the woods and the sun sparkling through the trees and the breeze in your face and the birds in the trees. Like whatever makes you happy, daydream about it. Because the more you do that, the more you focus on the joy that you do feel, that's when you start to manifest, and your subconscious will take you. So you have more access or a greater opportunity to go run in the forest or walk in a field of flowers, but greater access to those possibilities of finding more joy in your life because you're in alignment with what your soul purpose is. So I'm Joanna Rochester, Soul Alchemist. You can check out my website as below, the soulalchemisthealing.com, or else I do have a YouTube channel that is, there you go, Joanna Rochester, Soul Alchemist. I do also have a course coming up with Kimberly Debputhra. She is a divine wisdom guide, and it's going to be starting on May the 5th to June 23rd. It's 8 weeks, and it's called Transform Your Life. And it's learning the tools and the tips and the techniques that for you to help to transform your life. So you've obviously, because you're watching today, come to realize that you do want more in your life, and your journey may have just begun, or your journey may be that you realize that you're an empath. But we're going to be talking about energy and meditation and breath work and how to shield and how to get grounded, understanding what gifts are available to you and how to develop them. So it's 8 weeks, and it'll just be an hour long on Wednesday nights from 7:30 to 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. But it will be recorded, so if you miss one, it doesn't matter. But check out my Joanna Rochester page, but also Soul Alchemist page. And there's a video that Kimberly and I will be talking about it. And there will be a lot more ads to come, but we are offering anyone that signs up in the next 2 weeks will receive a free half-hour session with Kimberly and I to get channeled readings from both of us. So check us out, Joanna Rochester, Soul Alchemist. This is Real Talk Soul Alchemy on Speak Up and Empower. Speak Up and Empower is an online community of heart-centered people that want to share wisdom and knowledge so that they can find more in their lives. It's speakupandempower.com for more information, but we have conversations that change the way you see the world. Join me again next Thursday at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time, and have a wonderful Easter weekend. Bye, guys.